Hello, welcome to Speech 1100 Online. I'm your instructor, Lauren Morgan, and I'd like to welcome you to the class. In this short video, I'm going to provide you a quick overview of the course, as well as take you on a quick tour of Blackboard so you can get started on learning about communication. If you notice, we are on the announcement page in Blackboard, and this is the place where you will enter the class when you go into Blackboard. And I'd like to just point out a couple of things in my welcome message. You can certainly take a few moments to read it once you're done with this video, but I did want to highlight a couple things here at the bottom. First of all, this is a performance-based course. So unlike other online classes you may have taken, this class does require that you perform your speeches. We'll be talking about those a little bit later in the class in another short video. However, please be aware that I know that many of you come with nervousness, anxiety, trepidation about doing the speeches. However, I have extensive experience in working with students with apprehension, and while I can't make it go away for you, I can provide you some materials and some training that will help reduce that nervousness or at least make it able for you to manage it as you perform. So if at any point you have any questions about speaking, performing, or how to manage the class, please don't hesitate to contact me. You will have multiple ways to get in contact with me, and I'm glad to answer your questions and assist you. The second thing I want to address is why there are class meeting dates in My Access. That's because you have two different ways in which you can deliver your speeches. I do provide you the option of coming to campus with your classmates and delivering them on a single night with other people who are in the class. The other option is that you will record them on your own and submit them electronically through Blackboard into a system that will house the video and provides a rubric for me to grade. I have found that students often prefer to come to campus because it's a little bit easier. The parameters for how you record your speeches will be discussed a little bit later in another video, but it does require some maneuvering by you to set things up and make it possible to record the speeches according to the state requirements. Please be aware that if these requirements are not followed, your speeches will not count for credit. Again, this is not requirements that are set up by me as an instructor. These are requirements that are set up by the state. So we'll talk about those a little bit later in the class, but you'll notice that dates are listed there in the announcement, and I would appreciate you putting those in your calendar. I do highly recommend that you attend the first session, the orientation session, just so that we can make face-to-face contact and get to know each other a little bit if that's possible. I will be sending out a message requesting the names of those of you who will be coming to that orientation session. The third hallmark of the online class is that this course is not self-paced. As you know, it's a summer class. We move at double the speed that you would move in a regular semester. The course is completely manageable in the 8-week format, but it does mean that you will need to really attend to your assignments. You are likely to have at least 2 concept units due a week, and those concept units have a couple of different assignments in them. I'm anticipating that any unit might take you 3 or 4 hours to complete, so you'll just need to spread that time out during the week. So that is the overview of Speech 1100 Online. Next, we'll take a little tour of Blackboard and how the site is set up. You'll notice that over here on the left-hand side of the screen where my cursor is moving, you have several buttons, and I'd like to just give you an overview of what those are. As I noted earlier, the announcements page is the one that you land on when you come into Blackboard. I do send out frequent announcements alerting you to what's due in class, the things that you need to be working on. So it's important that you check Blackboard frequently. Also, with those announcements, I can send them to your email directly. So please be checking your email consistently as well. The Learning Unit section is the bulk of where you're going to be spending your time. All of the material for each concept unit that you'll be working on is within the learning units. The syllabus button will contain the syllabus and some other materials that I will have you read and take a look at as you work through the first unit, the orientation unit. The eText and Connect button is what is going to provide you direct access into your eText, your electronic textbook. So we'll be taking a look at that in just a moment, in another section of the course. The instructor area has information about me, including contact information for how you get in touch with me. I do enable you to email me and use my cell phone to either give me a phone call or a text message. I do encourage you, however, to not text unless it's a really time-sensitive issue, or if it's a really complex issue. I find often it's much easier for you to send an email or a phone call. I do check my email frequently, so it's very helpful when you follow the guidelines that I provide for how to send an email, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as I can. The next section is the My Grades section, and that's where you'll be able to track your grades and how you're performing in the course. The next large area is entitled Research, and I have just a couple of links in there. The first link, Research Fundamentals, is to our library webpage for Speech 1100, and that contains a lot of information that you'll be using later on in the course when you're working on your speeches. The Ask a Librarian button provides you a direct link to an email for Jennifer Kelly, the speech librarian at College of DuPage. She is an amazing resource, so if you're running into any problems researching one of your topics, getting in touch with Jen is very simple through using that button. The third button there, Library Resources, provides you a link to the library directly, our library webpage. And there are other materials there that you may want to access. So instead of having to go through cod.edu or another way, I've just directly linked it there for you. The third large area is email, and you'll notice that there's my email at dupage.edu. That provides you some instructions if you're not familiar with how to use your dupage.edu email. The send email button allows you to directly email me, or you can directly email your classmates. So there are times when we're doing some group work, and it may be useful for you to use that button. The last two buttons, Blackboard Help at COD and Blackboard Support, are just links to resources for if you're struggling at all with Blackboard. Often you can find answers to a lot of your questions about how to navigate Blackboard, or if you're having a problem, if you simply use one of those buttons. So hopefully that'll give you a nice overview of the course and how it's set up in Blackboard. Next, I'd like to just take you quickly into the learning units just so you can see what it looks like. There are 3 learning units, but you'll notice that only Unit 1 is open at this moment. That's because I only open those as we get to the units. So Unit 2 and Unit 3 will be open later in the course. I try at the beginning of the unit to provide you a brief overview of what the unit covers in terms of weeks and what your speeches might be in the unit. You'll notice that in this unit you have 2, an introductory speech and the commemorative speech. Those are spread out over a couple of weeks. When you click on Unit 1, you will get inside and then you'll see concept units. Again, at the beginning of each concept unit, I've tried to provide you some information that should help you navigate through the course a little more easily. You'll notice that I always say do the work in this folder in order. That's because I've intentionally designed the materials to be developmental, starting with easy materials or something that's going to provide you a foundation, and then working you through materials and assignments so that you can develop an understanding and really learn the material. I will provide a brief orientation video for each unit so that you understand what you have to do in the unit. I put a little begins note there so that you know at what point I'm recommending that you begin the unit. Because we do have orientation very quickly after Blackboard opens up, I really suggest that you do the orientation before you come to the orientation session. There will be a due date for when the material in this unit is due, and then a couple of notes. So you'll note that I have the orientation date and which concept units need to be completed. If you click on this folder, you will be taken into the orientation unit. And I just wanted to, again, make a couple of notes here. There is information about how to get your e-text and register, and I'm just going to click on this because included in providing you information, there is a short video here, a quick tutorial about how you register for your textbook. It's actually very, very simple, and once you watch the video, you can use the registration link to get your textbook. I'm going to go backwards, and I want to point something out about navigating back through the course. You can use the back button, but often using this kernel menu at the top is a little bit easier. So if you simply click back one button, you're going to be taken back to where you were. I wanted to note that anytime you notice any underlining and you put your cursor over it, that's a place where you can click. I try to remind you to click the underlined title to get to that section, but this is going to open up some more information about the class. Sometimes when you hit that, it doesn't take you to the top of the section of Blackboard, so please note that you may need to scroll up and down. And I highly recommend that you always, when you get into an area, just move your cursor up and down to make sure that you know how much material might be in there. In this orientation, you're going to learn a lot about what recommendations are available to you to succeed in the course, which is a lot of this material here. There is a file that contains due dates. I highly recommend that you print that and have it available to you and put those due dates in your calendar just so that you can remind yourself of what needs to be done. I will ask you to read the syllabus, and I highly suggest that you really familiarize yourself with it because you're going to be asked some questions about it in a short quiz. And then I've got some information about my statement on online communication. And then here are the requirements from the state for your speeches. So I just want to take a moment to point out a couple of things. First of all, the state of Illinois requires that you do at least 3 speeches that are a minimum of 5 minutes in length. You're going to notice that you're going to actually do 4 speeches in class. One of them is a practice speech. The other 3 are at least 5 minutes in length, typically 5 to 7 minutes. The second requirement is that all the speeches must be delivered live in front of an audience of at least 8 adults over the age of 18. And the speeches have to be delivered in a professional setting, such as a conference room at a workplace, a public library, a community center, or a church. So if you plan on delivering your speeches at a location not on campus, you're going to be doing this on your own, please know that you have to fulfill those requirements in order to have the speech count for credit. So again, you have to have at least 8 adults over the age of 18, and you must be speaking in a professional setting such as a conference room at a workplace, public library, community center, or church. If you have another location at which you're speaking, you'll need to let me know, and we can discuss whether or not that location might possibly work. I understand that this can be quite difficult for students to manage, especially getting the 8 adults in the same space at the same time, which again is why I've offered you the opportunity to take the class and deliver your speeches on campus. It has been my experience that most students are delivering their speeches on campus. I have had several students, though, deliver the speeches remotely and be very successful at doing it. It just takes some planning on their part. So please make sure that you consider what option is going to work best for you. And then if you have any questions or any concerns, just get in touch with me and we'll talk about those, and I'll try to make sure that we can make the course successful for you. The next area is the speech assistance area that's on campus. It's part of our Learning Commons, and it's actually entitled the Writing, Reading, and Speech Assistant areas. The speech assistance area is an incredibly valuable resource for students. It The consultants who work there can provide you all kinds of support, and you'll notice right here in the middle some of the things that they can do for you. In the last few semesters, I've really been encouraging students to use the speech assistance area, and I have seen a dramatic improvement in many of their speeches. So if you are someone who is nervous, they also provide some extra training in reducing communication apprehension, the nervousness or anxiety that you might feel about communicating. If you are interested in getting some of that kind of assistance with nervousness, please do contact me and let me know, and I can put you directly in touch with the consultants who manage that program within the speech assistance area. All right, the next thing in this folder area is orientation quiz. So this is going to test your understanding of all the materials you've been studying in the orientation. So please don't hesitate to take a look at that material in this area before you take that quiz. So that completes our little brief overview of the learning units, Blackboard, and Speech 1100 Online with Lauren Morgan. Again, I highly recommend that you take some time just to push some buttons and look around within the course. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I am here to help you make this course a successful experience for you. And it's my pleasure to give you whatever assistance you need. So look forward to meeting you either online or in class at our orientation session.